Hey there, you're trying to send a text message or an MMS, but there's a little something more you want to do. You want to send it in the future. No problem, we can help with that. No time machine required. Using Twilio, you can schedule SMS, MMS, and WhatsApp messages to be delivered in the future on a date of your choosing. Pretty cool, right? Message scheduling is part of Twilio's engagement suite. Think of the engagement suite as our kind of greatest hits of messaging tools. Whether you're scheduling a message to send at a later date, using Twilio's APIs to shorten the links you include in messages automatically, or seeing how your messaging campaigns are going using the data from Twilio's link tracking, you can do it with the engagement suite. For this tutorial, we won't play all of the greatest hits in the engagement suite, but we definitely encourage you to check them out. Right now, we're going to focus on message scheduling. There's so many ways to use message scheduling. Maybe you're running a small business and you want to send a message to remind a customer that their appointment is coming up. Maybe you're building a happy birthday bot that sends scheduled messages through WhatsApp to your friends on their birthdays. Maybe you're running a recruiting agency and want to find a more scalable way to make sure candidates show up to interview calls. You can do it all with message scheduling. I think there's something that feels magical about writing a message right now and saying, you know what? I think I'll send that to my future self a month from now. With the Twilio messaging API and a few lines of code, we can do just that. Let's talk about what types of messages you can schedule. You can send an SMS. Odds are you're pretty familiar with this type of message. SMS, or short message service, is another name for a text message. When you're chatting back and forth with a friend on your phone, using the native messaging application, odds are you're sending a text message. You can send an MMS. When you send or receive a picture, video, or other attachment, you're using MMS. It stands for Multimedia Messaging Service. Essentially, it's like an SMS, but with media attached to the message. You can also schedule a WhatsApp message. This message is exclusively sent on the WhatsApp platform to other WhatsApp users. While SMS and MMS live on your phone's native messaging app, WhatsApp is its own app. It's separate from SMS and MMS. Awesome. Now we know what types of messages we can schedule, so let's dive into what we'll need to get started. We're kind of bending the space-time continuum when we schedule a message. It's pretty neat performing that type of programmatic messaging magic. So if you're here and you're looking to schedule a message, we're assuming that you already know your way around sending a message with Twilio. If not, no worries. We've got just the thing for you. Check out our SMS docs. We're pretty proud of them. They can guide you through the basics of sending a message with the Twilio API and using Twilio messaging services. Messaging services are essentially pools of phone numbers that make it easier for developers, businesses, or entrepreneurs to send and receive messages to their customers at scale. Turns out your personal phone doesn't quite cut it when you have a ton of customers messaging you back and forth. That's why Twilio built messaging services. It makes managing all your communications much easier. Messaging services are one part of Twilio's overall engagement suite, which encompasses a bunch of tools that you can use to enhance messaging. So, to use message scheduling, you'll need to be set up with a messaging service. All right, we're on the starting line. Let's say you're part of a company called Good News, and our whole business is scheduling and sending fun jokes, our favorite memes, and of course, good news to our customers in the future. As a wise man, Douglas Adams once said, "Nothing travels faster than the speed of light, with the possible exception of bad news, which obeys its own special laws." So we're hoping our good news can come at just the right moment to counteract the bad news. Business is booming at Good News. We were running all of our messaging from our personal phones, but that didn't scale. So now we're using a messaging service with message scheduling to reach our customers. When we're sending a message from Good News to our customers, we're sending them what we call an outgoing message. That's because the message is going out of our offices and straight to our customers' phones. Let's open up a text editor and start writing some code to get that good news out there. So I'm going to write in my preferred language when it comes to working with Twilio, which is JavaScript. If that's not your first pick for programming languages, no problem. We have helper libraries and documentation for a ton of languages on our docs page. First things first, we need to make sure Twilio knows who we are. Twilio wants to see our proverbial ID cards before letting us in to start sending messages. We'll need to have our auth token and account SID ready as we start writing code. To find these credentials, log into your Twilio console, navigate to your account dashboard, and look for the credentials under account info. Next, we'll create a message because we're sending good news. That's our business. Let's make this message say something like, "Hey, your dog thinks you're pretty awesome." That's the highest compliment someone can receive in my book. It's definitely good news. After that, we'll need our messaging service SID. This can also be found in the Twilio console under messaging and then services, which seems like the right place to find your messaging services. We'll add our messaging service SID. This is how Twilio knows which messaging service to use. One thing to note here: if you don't add your messaging service SID and instead designate a phone number to send your message from, that is not your messaging service SID. Twilio will treat your message like an unscheduled message and send it immediately. So make sure that you have that messaging service SID on deck. Your messaging service SID is essentially replacing what would be a fixed from number. Why? Because one number from a Colorado area code might work in the US, but it might not be able to send messages to your customer base in London or Mexico or Brazil and so on. When you use your messaging service SID, Twilio is doing a lot of work in the background to make sure that your country and area codes match your messaging recipient's country and area codes. And Twilio can also use its sticky sender service to message your recipients from the same number every time you message them to add some consistency to their experience. Well, global telecom geography aside, our credentials are now in. That's awesome. We've got the message we want to send all written out. Next comes the time machine part of the tutorial, the part where we lock in a message now that we'll send in the future. So, we know we want to share this bit of good news via SMS, MMS, or WhatsApp in the future. But how do we let Twilio's API know when to send this message? We do that by controlling two parameters: schedule type and send at. First, let's talk about schedule type. The schedule type parameter requires a value. This is essentially Twilio's API saying, I know you want to schedule a message. I know you're sending these good news memes, but when? Is there a specific date I should send it at? Is there a time range? What's the deal? I'm a computer. You need to be specific. We will give the Twilio API the specificity it's looking for. When we pass the value fixed to the parameter schedule type, Twilio knows and expects we will give it a fixed date or a fixed time range in which to send the message in the future. The next parameter we need to get a hold of to keep the good news train moving along is send at. This is essentially the Twilio API full of questions as we're establishing, asking us, when exactly should I send this message? If you feel like the API is asking a lot of pointed questions, it's because it is. Computers aren't great at abstractions. If you invited a computer brunch and told it to meet you at the restaurant around 11, it wouldn't know when you were talking about. Computers need specificity and a concrete date to do something. So, when you're telling the Twilio API the exact time we want to send our message in the future, we need to pass a value to the send at parameter. Now, as we've established, we can't say to Twilio API, oh hey, sending this message at 11 a.m. would be great. Computers don't understand our colloquialisms, which is probably why we stopped inviting them to brunch in the first place. We need to spell out a date time spring in the ISO 8601 format. This means spelling out the year, month, date, and the time using the 24-hour clock. So, this is the date and time at which the message will be sent. We've got that locked in, but there are some caveats to scheduling. Let's return to our scheduling brunch with a computer metaphor. We don't have to invite our computer out to brunch too early. It's got stuff going on, API calls to respond to, code to process. It might not know what its schedule is like that far in advance. We also don't want to invite our computer out to brunch too late. We can't just propose brunch plans last minute before a reservation. That's not good manners. The same principle applies to message scheduling. Your message can't be scheduled more than 35 days before the intended send time, and that message must be scheduled at least 15 minutes before the intended send time. We've got our message, we've got the date that we want to send it. It's not too late, it's not too early. We've got our message too, it's good news. Hey, your dog thinks you're awesome. But what if we wanted to add a picture of a dog saying, you're awesome? How would we add that to our scheduled message? We can add a media URL to our message. This parameter passes a destination where Twilio should go fetch the media we're pointing it towards. That destination is a URL. We've got our message, we've got our media in place. Now we need to tell Twilio where to send the scheduled message. If you're sending an SMS or MMS, you'll want to enter your user's phone number. If you're sending a WhatsApp message, you'll want to enter their WhatsApp number. One note on WhatsApp. WhatsApp requires that business-initiated notifications, i.e. the messages that we're sending from Good News Enterprises, which are sent by the app that we're building right now, that message has to be templated and pre-registered, meaning our business and its application has to be vetted and approved by WhatsApp before we can start initiating conversations with customers. If a customer has already sent us a message and they were the ones kicking off the conversation, we're in the clear. But for more details, check out Twilio's WhatsApp docs. Now that we got that out of the way, let's add a phone number here to test out this scheduled message. Let's run the code and see if we did everything correctly. If we did, we should get a text that our dog does indeed think we're awesome, but that's far off in the future. We can see if we got everything right now by looking at Twilio logs. That's awesome. We're scheduled. We have booked our message to be sent. If for some reason we need to cancel that message before it's sent, maybe your dog learns how to speak and told you themselves that you're awesome. In that case, we can cancel the scheduled message. We already know the good news. Just as a pro tip, you should save the SID of the scheduled message resource in case you need to cancel a message, like you're doing now. You can find that SID in Twilio's response to your initial scheduled message. So, the way we cancel a message is by updating the message response so the status is canceled. Once we send this request to Twilio, we should get a canceled status callback event in response. We'll see our message response's status has been changed to canceled. This same principle applies for WhatsApp. You can cancel a WhatsApp message in the same way you'd cancel an SMS or MMS. Now, let's say we're sending WhatsApp messages, MMS, or SMS, and our Good News customers opt out of our message before a scheduled message is sent. How would Twilio know that the user has opted out? Our API has its eyes on the future, and in that future, we've scheduled a message. Well, it turns out Twilio can bend the space-time continuum and focus on the past, present, and future all at once. When the user opts out of your messages, any scheduled message to that user will fail at the sent at stage. One other note, there is a limit on the number of scheduled messages you can send. The good news, no pun intended, is that each account is allowed to schedule up to 500,000 messages. That's 500,000 message resources with scheduled statuses at any given time. It's a whole lot of messages. But right now, we're just focusing on one message. That message from our company, Good News, hopefully saying that our dog thinks we're awesome. We scheduled it. Now let's see if that scheduling was successful. Well, would you look at that? It's finally 2 p.m. Our scheduled message was sent successfully. Let's see the message. Stop the presses! The dog really does think we're awesome. This is the best news. It's why our business, Good News, is just absolutely crushing it right now. It turns out everyone likes good news. We did it. We scheduled a message, we changed the fabric of space and time, and this is just the start of all the magical powers we can develop with Twilio. If you're looking for another challenge, try out one of these tutorials we picked just for you.